Hi, Neil here with Covers Camo, your source for custom seat covers. Today showing you the install on the 2012 Toyota Sienna. We're going to go through all the steps, show you how to put this on, and make it look awesome. A brand new interior inside here. Let's do this. So we're going to get started on this install. We have already installed the passenger sides here, and now we're going to be installing the driver sides, and we'll show you how this all goes on this Sienna here. And the first thing that we're going to do is remove the driver side armrest. Now I've kind of gotten this loosened up a little bit, but I wanted to show you the steps here. The first thing that you're going to want to do is pop off this plastic piece. Now you're going to need something. I've popped it out already, but we'll show you back here when we do the second row one exactly how we pop that off. But you need something kind of skinny. We did use a knife actually that slid underneath and popped that out, but a flathead screwdriver will do it as well. That pops this out right here, and then what you're going to see underneath there is a 9/16 bolt. And then get a crescent wrench and undo this bolt here. Okay, so I had already kind of prepped this up. Just simplify the video, but then there's that bolt that comes out right there. Okay, and then this armrest comes off. Okay, now it's important to remember which armrest goes where. So if you're taking all the armrests off at the same time, best to just kind of put them next to the seat where they go, and that way when you're putting these back on, they're, you know, won't be too hard for you to put back on. Now, one thing I want to show you is there's this groove right here, this little, you know, semicircular groove right here, and that groove that needs to go when you're installing this back on. That needs to go right around this solid piece right there, because that's what's going to keep it sliding up and then not sliding down too far. Okay, so it'll stop it right there. So that piece right there goes right around this kind of metal bolt right there. Okay, so once that's off, then what we can do is we can put on the backrest cover, and we can do the bottom there as well, and then we'll finish later doing this armrest. So before we put on this backrest piece here, we need to loosen up this carpet flap down here, and I'm going to reach underneath, and there is this elastic right here that's just kind of wound around some springs. So you just kind of loosen that up. It just loosens up. You don't have to cut it, and there's no clips. Just kind of loosen it up, and it flaps up right there. Okay. And then we're going to be able to put the cover over, and when we put this cover over, that flap is going to stay up here. I'll show you that I'm actually going to bend this down like that because there is going to be a cutout piece that you'll see over here to fit around that, and this, because this will actually just stay folded up right there. You could probably fold that down, or maybe even kind of fold that into the pocket. That may be one way to do it as well, you know, something like that. Either way, this is a longer flap right here, so you need to fold that to get it out of the way somehow. We'll show you that here in a second. Okay, so now we're going to put this driver backrest on here, and again, everything's labeled inside the set there, identified, so then you just look at the sheet to identify each piece. But this is the driver backrest. Now again, this customer went with the black perforated insert, black upholstery grade vinyl trim, and then black stitching. So this one was all blacked out on this one. Okay, so this one's going to go over the backrest, and again, we're able to put this over because there's this armrest cutout right here, and the only way we can put that over now is since we have that armrest off. Okay, so we're going to open this up, and actually what we're going to do is fold this out about halfway, and that's gonna help us to be able to pull this down over the shoulders. Okay, so now that I have that pulled out like that, I'm now gonna start to get it over the seat. And I like doing the backrest first rather than the bottom, so then I can kneel up on this and I'm not pushing into that bottom cover as I'm doing this install. Okay, so we've started that, but one thing I need to do now is take this flap on the back here and then fold that flap up because I'm gonna pull this over that back flap and over the seat. Backrest. I'm gonna kind of adjust the seat around a little bit to give myself some better positioning around the cover. I'm gonna pull this down until it really meets the shoulders up here, and because I want a really good fit up over these shoulders. Sometimes you just kind of smack it like that to get it to conform around up in there. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these, there's these headrest pieces up here that need to get pushed around and finished out. So there's cutouts. It's gonna have cutouts already for this. And this, you gotta be a little bit careful with this piece because it does stretch that perforated leather, but you can see I was just being real kind of gentle with it right here and just slowly pushing that over. And then I'm gonna take my trim tool, kind of finish that out. Now it may split the leather a little bit, but if you go slow with it, you really shouldn't have too big of a slit or too big of a split in it. Again, and I try to get the kind of the front end done first, like that, and then I just kind of finish it out with the tool right there. The tool's nice, but if you leverage that tool too much, you can kind of push it and then tear the leather too much. So you just want to ease into that right there, and that finishes out really nice, right like that. Now I'm going to get this pulled down a little bit closer. There's the cutout for the armrest right there. I'm tucking in the section right here up and around this plastic right there, so that finishes out nice right there. Okay, now what we're gonna do is get this armrest back on so you can see how that's gonna work. Now this is a helpful step if you can get two people to do this, but I'll kind of show you initially just how to get it set up, and I may recruit the cameraman here for some help. But initially we're gonna get it lined up. And now here's the thing, is that you do not install this yet until you have the cover on it, okay? What you need to do is get the cover on, okay? And if you're confused on this again, the flap portion right here, that is gonna be the top. Okay, this curved one is gonna be the bottom, because that's gonna curve like with the seat right there. So that's the top for your arm to rest on. Okay, and so you're gonna slide this in right here, okay? And now, if you're orienting yourself, you're doing this install right now, the zipper's gonna start up at the top and then zip down towards the bottom, okay? So I'm gonna push this in right here, and I'm actually gonna take that tag off to get it out of the way. You're going to get this, you're gonna try to pull this out. What we've learned putting these on is that as you tighten this on, it can kind of, as you tighten it, it can kind of pinch this zipper, and then you have to loosen it back up. It makes it kind of tricky to do that. So if possible, you kind of want to pull this around. Okay, so now that I got that popped over right there, like that, okay? So it's just barely popped over. And again, I'm not gonna zip it up yet because I need access to this to put the bolt on. So I'm just gonna leave it on right there, leaving access. You know, you gotta make sure you have access to this groove and the bolt. And so then what we're gonna do is gonna hold that on right there. Here's this guy, and here's this bolt. Okay, so what we're gonna do is get this bolt started in here. Then I can kind of feel that it's in the groove right now as I'm putting that on. I'm just gonna get it hand started right now. Get this tightened up here. Okay, I can feel it kind of starting. And I can, yep, okay, it's in the groove. Okay, now that I'm getting it down there we go. So now I can feel that it's tight on there, and we definitely got it in the groove because it stops right there and it stops right there, okay? If it wasn't stopping, I mean, it really wouldn't install at all very well. Like the armrest wouldn't really go on if you didn't have that. So we're gonna just tighten that on. It's gonna hand tight right there. Nothing too intense. Then before we do the zipper, we're gonna put this guy back on. There is one little spot that you gotta line that up to get that push in. I didn't have it lined up before. There it is. Okay, now it's in there. Now what we're gonna do is do this zipper. Okay, so that zipper's done there. And then just kind of work that around a little bit more. Try to get it to smooth out. I'm just gonna kind of pull that around. Okay, nice. Okay, so there is the armrest section done. We got the backrest started, and before we really finish that backrest and get everything done down there, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do this bottom section now, and I'm just gonna fold this up to get that out of the way for a second, and then we're gonna install the bottom, and then the very last piece that we'll do is finishing out with the backrest Velcro, okay? Now we're doing the driver bottom section. Okay, this, again, all blacked out on this driver bottom. Now this driver bottom, again, it's identified, so you'll be able to see what the driver bottom section is. Straps going back to buckles on this one, okay? So it's not too bad. We're just gonna fit it into place, push this backside through, and then take those front straps and go back to the buckles back there, okay? First thing that we need to do is just orient, or kind of get it oriented into place. You can do this as well. It's kind of a trick here. Turn the whole cover inside out like that, or just the edges inside out, I guess, and get it lined up in place where you want it. Now that I got that back kind of held down a little bit, we take those edges, fold them over. Take these, there's kind of a side flap right here by the seat belt, and what you want to do is just push all of that fabric down on the inside right there. You take your tool, your trim tool, this little plastic tool, you can push it down on the inside of that. So that way it kind of tucks into that right there. Okay, now the other thing that we're gonna do is take the trim tool and tuck in the sides. Okay, so we got that side tucked in. And come around to this side here now. Okay, I want to show you this. This front needs to tuck into this plastic right here. And what you're gonna do as well is you're gonna take these straps and tuck them on the inside of the plastic, okay? And take that all and just push it in into this front plastic right there. Okay, now that we got that tucked in nice, I'm gonna make sure this back is pulled back as far as I need it to. Okay, so I'll just slide the seat forward. That'll make it a little bit easier for me. There. I'll even bring this forward a little bit to the backrest. Make sure I can grip that on the back side here. So I'm just pushing that through the split in the seat there. So I'm just kind of gripping that cover and just giving it a nice pull. You know, I want the corners to be pretty close, so you're pretty much covering all the fabric on your seat. You may see a little bit of the original fabric, but not really gonna see much. This will be such an easier fabric to clean off with it being leather compared to this tan cloth. The tan cloth is just showing everything. So this will be much better. Okay, so I got those two pushed through, those two buckles have been pushed through the back side now. And now what I need to do is take these front straps up here and pass them underneath the seat. Now what I'm gonna do before I do that is I'm gonna raise the whole seat up as high as it'll go, because that's gonna give me space underneath the seat for my arms and the buckles to fit underneath there. And then also, as I do this, as I pass it through, I'm gonna go above any electrical cables and cords underneath there. So that way, as you adjust the seat up and down, it's not compressing against that. Okay, so I'm gonna go above all those. Okay, so we're gonna pass those through underneath here. You may be able to get a shot underneath a little bit. These are always dark shots right here, but see if you can see some of it. Again, I'm going up above pretty much everything. And again, there's one strap passed through. Again, here's my next strap. Okay, so I got those two passed through now. Now what I'm gonna do is get underneath the seat here and go to these buckles. Go from the strap to the buckle here. And again, I'm just going through this little middle slot and then through the outside slot. Same thing here, going through that middle slot and then through the outside slot on that. And one thing I'll do too is I will pull on that buckle from the front a little bit and pull it a little tighter, and then pull on that right there rather than just trying to crank on this piece. I'll kind of pull from one side. The other thing you can do is have one person from the other side kind of push down on the seat, and then as they push down on it, then you can pull here, because you don't want too much tension on here rather than cranking on that. It's better just to kind of compress the seat down and then tighten these up. So that's really the best way to do that. Is if I don't have anybody, I can kind of push down on this side with this arm right here compress the seat, and then I'm reaching underneath and pulling that buckle from the other side as well. I'll do the same thing right here. Gonna compress that there. Okay, sweet. So there is the driver bottom. That one is all done. Now we're gonna finish out with this driver backrest. And so to do that, I'm gonna put my gloves back on. It's nice having your gloves just to protect your hands with these installs, because you get going and you can get your hands cut up and you want to take care of your hands. So, okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this front Velcro right here needs attached to a back Velcro. So it needs to come around. And this one as well is nice if you have two people. And one person can pull right here and push, and to the other side, the other person can pull here and stick it down. But I'll show you how to do it if you don't have anybody. So first thing I'm gonna do is just grip that around and kind of give it a nice tug right there. So then it's down, and then I'm gonna push this through. Again, I'm pushing that Velcro through. Just slot in the seat right there. And then I'm gonna reach with my other hand on the back side and pull this Velcro through right here. Now what you want to be careful of, there's this cable right here, that's for your airbag. You want to be careful of that. And if you need to, you can make a slit in the seat, and we can show you that on another video. You can make a slit in the seat cover to go around that if it's really impeding. This one is pretty close to the seat, so we're gonna be fine. Some of the Toyota Tacomas are a little farther in. Okay, so I'm pulling that as I'm pushing down with my other hand here. Okay, and so now that I got that around, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this hand underneath and hold that, and then take this top Velcro and pull down and stick it down right there, like that. Okay. So I can feel that. Okay, there's the Velcro right there. We do the same thing on that other side as well. Okay, so now I got that pulled down. I'm just gonna get a visual look on that. Make sure everything's looking good. Just smooth that out just a little bit right there. Again, if you feel like it's pulling too tight on one of your cables right here, you could make a slit, but this one doesn't need it. Some of the Toyota Tacomas, there's like a cable, an airbag cord that's like here in the seat, really far in, so then you can make a slit in the seat cover if it's that far in. This one's gonna be fine. Okay, so now that we got that stuck on right there, this we'll show you in a second. There's gonna be some clips that clip onto that and then clip underneath the seat to hold that up tight. Okay. So this is how these little clips are gonna be included with the seat cover kit here. And you just clip those around your elastics. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just reach these underneath, and they're just gonna hook onto a spring underneath. And what you wanna be careful with is don't look underneath the seat while you're doing this, because those can snap back and hit you in the eye. Or if you're gonna look underneath, always use safety glasses or safety goggles. Okay, there's our disclaimer right there for you. So those are hooked underneath. That's looking good there. Again, the driver backrest is done. Oh, actually there's one other piece that I'll show you here on the driver backrest. Okay, so this is your cutout right here for this little clip. And I was mentioning that earlier, is that we need to take this flap that came from the underside of the seat, we need to bend that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna bend it down, okay? And then just gonna push into that plastic. So then it kind of folds that corner in right there. You don't need that anymore. And then this piece right here, you could just leave that, but it does look better. And sometimes it pops out. It's not perfect, but what you can do is take a trim tool and take this around, and you gotta work this a little bit more, but you can pop this in right here. Again, it takes a little time to do that, but you get the idea. And we'll finish this out and show you how it all finishes. But you just take that and just keep pushing it underneath like that. It takes a little time to kind of work it in, but that's how it goes like that. We're gonna do the driver headrest now. And what you can do is, I've taken the headrest off already to get that backrest on, but I'm just gonna start working it around like this. And again, this headrest is labeled. They all have little labels on an identification sheet to show you which headrest cover goes to which, because they are different sizes. So if you're struggling with one, make sure that it's the right identification. But I'm just sliding this one on. This one's not too bad. There are some of these headrests that are a little bit harder to put on, but really this one's not too bad. Okay, so now that I'm pulling this down here, okay, so you want to make sure you get those pulled out to cover the corners there. Okay, and then before you do these clips to finish it out, and I'll show you how to do that, you want to make sure that everything, so I can see actually there's a little bit more space right here. It needs to come down a little bit further. So what I'll do actually is I'll put on some gloves and then put this headrest down, kind of push down on it right there. So you can do this in the vehicle, or you could put that on the carpet or something like that and kind of get that to pop down. But I'm just slowly pushing that cover down because you really want it to be, see, there we go. Now I can tell it's pretty much all filled up. I think I can get a little bit more out of it just by pulling the front and then pulling the back. There we go. That looks a lot better. Okay, and then also you want to make sure that it's not rotated one way or the other. And that's looking pretty centered to me right there. I may shift it just a little bit more this way. But that's looking good right there. So now to do these clips, okay, so there is this J clip right here. So there's kind of that clip right there. There's that J. And then you're going to take this one and you're going to take it around, and it needs to curve around and push into it. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to take this piece and curve it around and push in. I'll actually get it started on one side first. There it is. There we go. Okay, now I got that side locked in. Now I'm going to push the rest of this one in. Perfect. Okay, so then that's how that should finish out right there, clipped in right there. So that's the driver headrest. And that'll be the same method really for the passenger side. We'll show you the second row headrest as well, kind of those rear headrests, because they're a little different, but that same method is really how you install those. Now we're on the second row seat. These are pair of bucket seats. This Sienna has front buckets with inside armrests. The second row is buckets with 2 outside armrests. And we're gonna get this armrest off because, again, to get it to install, how we've done over here, we need to take the armrest off. Okay? And again, there's this plastic little clip on the outside right here. And what you need to do is you need to pop this clip off here. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna kind of reach into there and then pop that off. Okay, so that's how that pops off right there. Now what we need to do is take the socket crescent wrench and reach in here again, 9/16. Okay, this one's a little deeper than the front, so we have an extender on here. We're gonna reach in there and get this off. Okay, and so they was just kind of hand tight in there, so not too bad. There we go. Okay, so now there's our bolt. Okay, and then here's the armrest again. Flat will go, when you're reinstalling this flat side goes on top, curved side down below. Okay, now that we have this off, we're gonna need to take both this one and the outside armrest off. Then you can put the backrest on. Take your headrest off as well, that just pops out. Your backrest can go on, and then you can put these armrests back on. We're gonna get this headrest off now, and again, this headrest, to actually be able to remove these second row headrests, there's a push that you gotta push on the outside. We have noticed on these Siennas, they are pretty tight the very first time you take them out. Once you've taken them out once, then they're not too bad, but that, again, you just gotta push on that outside right there to get that headrest off. Then what we're gonna do is take this backrest and get this backrest on. Again, I like doing the backrest first because I'm kneeling on this seat here, and I don't like kneeling on the seats when I got the cover on there. But what I'll do is I'll pull this and put it inside out about halfway. Get this pulled over. Again, this second row has, this particular Sienna has armrests on both sides, so you should have armrest circular cutouts on both seats there. Okay, so now we're just gonna make sure it's fit around the shoulders before we push down anymore. Folding that in half right there really gives me a nice place to grip and pull down. Now what we're gonna do is take the trim tool and do these headrest pieces up here. And I have it pulled a little too far this way because I can see my my headrest posts are not quite lining up right now. So I need to actually shift the whole thing a little bit more this way. So I'll actually kind of slide that up a little bit on that side. Okay, that's lined up better now, right there. So what we'll do is take this and work this around right here. Again, just like the front seats, you want to be somewhat gentle when you're using this tool around here. You can see it splits the leather just a little bit, but if it's just that much, that's really not going to show because that's going to pop underneath the headrest post right there. You're really not going to see that. But you don't want to crank on this and pull it because that could make it run more, and you don't want that to happen. So again, I'm just going to push that around right there. There we go. Okay, perfect. Okay, so those finished out really nice right there. That looks good. So that's all lined up. Now we can bring the rest of this down, and since these shoulders are matched up and filled right there, we're good. So we're just gonna pull the rest of this down and over on both sides. Okay, next step that we'll do is push that through and attach it to the backside Velcro. Now I'm going to take this Velcro here on the front side and pass that through to the back. And for this one, I have help on this too, which is going to be awesome because it really is a lot better if you have two people do this install. So I'm gonna push that to the back right there. And again, having this seat reclined forward helps because that actually opens up kind of a space in between the seat right there. And we're just getting that front kind of pass towards the back, and that way then the back person can grab it and pull it back. And then what I'm gonna do on the front side here is I'm gonna push down like this and kind of hold that nice and tight on the front, and then the back person is gonna take the Velcro and stick that down to the back side while I'm holding it right there. Okay, and then that Velcro will stick on and keep that on nice and tight. Okay, so again, we're pulling the Velcro here and pulling it up from the bottom, and then we're just gonna take this top and stick those two together. There we go, nice. Yep, and just stick as much of that Velcro as you can get. These corners are quite difficult to get everything stuck on. They're pretty tight, but just as long as it grabs as much Velcro as you can get, you're gonna be fine with these. But really the main thing is that middle piece of Velcro. Okay, perfect. Yeah, there's quite a bit of Velcro stuck on the back side right there, and that's gonna be sufficient to really keep it. You could continue to kind of pull and stretch on that and get as much as you can, but with how much we got right there, I mean, from really the entire piece from right here to right here is all fully grabbed onto the Velcro. There's probably a little bit that's not grabbed on these very far corners, but that's gonna be fine. We're gonna put this armrest back on now that we have this backrest here. And again, what you're gonna wanna do is, I know this is the right armrest here, the correct one, because it's gonna be flat right there, and then it's gonna be curved right there against the seat. So what you're gonna do is not zip it up yet. Again, that'd be a mistake to do that. Just get this section right here, fold it over, installed right there. And then we're gonna need access to the section to feed the bolt in right here. And so what we're gonna do is get that lined up. I need to adjust this here just a little bit, like that. I'll just kind of keep that there for right now. There. And then get this lined up. And again, this groove right here is gonna go around this solid bolt, okay? So I got that lined up right there now. Then what we're gonna do, and this one's a little tricky because it's deeper inside there. So actually, I'm gonna do that right there. Pop that bolt in before I feed it in, and then just feel around and get it in there. There we go. Okay, so just gonna get it started, and then I'll make sure that it's really lined up before we get it going too far. Okay. Matt, maybe why don't you try the crescent wrench, and I'll hold this here. Yep. So be helpful if you do have a second set of hands here, really, because I'm gonna hold this in place as Matt finishes tightening that. Yep, and then before you really get it too tight, just kind of check it. Yep, so that it locks right there, perfect. Okay, so let's tighten her up, finish the, perfect, okay, nice, yep, just kind of hand tight on that. Oh, let's see, hold on, we got our piece there we go, perfect. Okay, so now put on your plastic trim piece, and I think on this one, I don't know if there was, oh okay, that one you didn't have to line up as much as the front. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is take this zipper, finish that out. Perfect. Okay, and again that, and then just kind of smooth it out over the rest of the armrest there. And that is going to be the same on all 4 of these second row buckets. Again, there's 2 on each side, and we'll finish out this one over here, and then we'll do this bottom section as well. We're doing the second row bottom, bucket bottom now, and here's the bucket bottom. Again, it's identified through the identification sheet, and what we're gonna do is it just slides over. This one's probably one of the more simple ones that are out there. Now, it is one of the tighter ones, though. I have found that. So what I'll do is similar to how I did the backrest, fold this halfway inside out. Like that. Again, it's a tight bugger, but there we go. Now, but it looks good once you get it on, for sure. Yeah, it's helpful if you get into a position that it's locked, seat's locked, and you can get up really push down on it. Again, before you unravel that, you want to get these shoulders in place. Okay, just making sure those are on there. Sweet, okay, that's the hardest part. Now, you can just take this and unravel it. Now, there's gonna be, before I finish unraveling that, I wanna show you that there's gonna be a strip of Velcro up here. There's like a Velcro guard on it right now. You're gonna pull that off when you're ready to strip it down, or to stick it down. And then the same thing down below, down here, Velcro as well with the guard on it. And those are both hook Velcro. So what you're gonna do is you're actually just gonna push that down and stick it. Same thing here, you're just gonna push it down and stick it. And then those finish out nicely like that. They don't connect to each other, they just stick to the carpet that's on the top and the carpet that's on the bottom, and that finishes this one up. The second row headrest, very similar install to that front row headrest that I was showing you. Again, there's gonna be this front side. One thing I wanna show you here is this front skinny clip is gonna be the front for the headrest, and the J clip is towards the back, okay? So again, you're gonna fit that all on and then push it through the clip right there, make sure it's all lined up, and then that's how it finishes out really nice, okay? So we're on the third row now, and we already have the passenger section done. This seat back here is called a 60-40 seat. So there's a 60 section, a split right here, and then a 40 section. So 60-40 seat with 3 headrests, and we already have the 40 section done, backrest and bottom, and the headrest covers on now as well, okay? So that's all finished out. Now what we're gonna show you, and it's the same steps that we did over here. So as long as you know how to do the 60, you'll be fine doing the 40. Is we're gonna work on this piece here, and first thing that we're gonna do is take out this headrest, the middle headrest piece, okay? Because that one is gonna be a little different. Now these outside headrests, they do not remove. They are stuck in there, okay? So, but they do fold down. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the backrest section over here first, okay, and get this lined up. And open up the bottom Velcro. And this vehicle as well, this Sienna, has the ability to kind of fold all the seats down flat, and there's like this carpet, this kind of hard carpet piece connected to it that helps with that type of setup if you're doing that, folding everything down flat. So what you need to do to make this, you know, the seat covers are made to be able to accommodate for that. And what you need to do is keep this up as you're first installing the cover, and then also keep that headrest in that position. Okay, so take note of that. This needs to be up, headrest needs to be up as you pull this cover over. Okay, it's not gonna get on unless if you do that. So now that we have those up, we're gonna take this cover and fit it over. Okay, it's going to be pretty tight, especially around this carpet piece, but it'll slide over. Okay, so now that I have that over the carpet piece, that actually can kind of fold back around the back side. And then I'm just going to finish pulling this all down. Okay, so this has two headrest post pieces that need to go around and fit into that. I'm gonna grab a trim tool piece. And these ones, since there's not perforated leather around it, it actually stretches around a little bit better and into it. As you can, there's a little bit more give compared to the genuine leather is a little more stiff. So you can stretch that a little bit more. Okay, perfect. So that one's on there. Now this one, since this is a non-removable headrest, there's just this flap that pushes through, and then Velcro pieces that will be connected up. And so I'll push that through right there. Take those Velcro pieces, go around with it. And once we moved around to the back side, I'll show you how that finishes out. Okay, with this stuff here, here's the cutout for that strap right there. Okay, so that's good there. Now, pull that down right there. Okay, and then I'm gonna push this through the seat towards the back. I'm gonna grab that, what I just passed through. Okay, so now I'm pulling this through right here. What I had on the front side. Getting this all pulled through even. Looking good. Now, as you can see with these covers, there is going to be the cutout to be able to pull these seats down, and there are the Velcro replacement pieces as well, so that carpet can come down and stick onto that. Okay, and then the other feature as well, I'll show you this, is there is a cutout up here for this pull tab. And that pull tab is to recline the seats. And there's that Velcro right there, okay? Now, what is gonna be covered are these little bag holders. They're little clips where you can put like little grocery bags and stuff. Kind of lame clips, really. You don't really need them, and I don't think. And so but they're just too low, and there's too many of them really to have it cut out for those. So those are going to be covered up. But other than that, everything else is pretty much just how the seat, it's going to function just how the seat normally did before that. Okay, nice. Perfect. So that Velcro really sticks quite well together right there. So that's going to be a nice solid cover. Now, what you can do is, I've found it's just easiest if you just leave that cut out like that. You can try to tuck this underneath on these, but no one really sees this, and it's a lot of work to try to get that tucked underneath if you really wanted to get that look finished out. But the most difficult part is this low piece, because there's not a lot of give to that piece right there to trim that in. So I recommend just leaving it like that. It's so nice and clean, it looks nice, and it's totally functional. You can still lift that up and you'll be fine with that. We'll fold that back right there. And now this piece on the headrest that I was gonna show you is, let's see, up here. So these are these Velcro pieces that come out right around here and here, and they're gonna stick onto each other. And it's actually gonna give us a little bit more room if we push that down. Okay, so that's stuck on right there. Do the same thing over here now. Stick that on right there. Perfect. Okay, so those are stuck on there. Last piece now is just do that headrest cover. We're gonna do the center headrest piece right now as well. And again, this is just standard. The skinny clip is gonna be the front side of the cover, and the J clip is gonna be the back, okay? So this one's a little bit of an awkward shape, a little different, but I'm gonna show you how this goes on. Just kind of, I usually just hook one side like that, and then compress it down. And sometimes with these small tight ones, you gotta push it down on the seat like that. It's kind of like wrestling cattle, but it's a seat cover instead. And you just gotta wrestle it. There we go. Okay, now I got it started on that side right there. These ones are tighter. Okay, and that's the hardest part, is once you get it over there. Now we just kind of need to get it smoothed out. And I can see that it's kind of twisted, so just gotta untwist it, start smoothing it out. Okay, so then that is that middle headrest. And now I'm just going to show you the very last piece on this backrest section. It's going to be this headrest cover. And if I remember correctly, this one's really not too bad. So since it's non-removable, you're just going to have to leave it on, obviously. And oh yeah, there is a hole on this outside right here for there's a little lever that folds this forward right there. So you're gonna need to make sure you fit that around the hole as this is going on. Okay, yep, I'm just fitting this around that section right there, that little lever that pulls that down. Okay, just smooth it out, make sure everything is feeling good right there, and then I'm gonna push this through to the back side here and close up these Velcro pieces. So that finishes out right there. Perfect. So those are all finished there, and now last piece is just this bottom section. Okay, so this bottom section is just gonna pull over. There's gonna be a back Velcro piece that sticks down on the back side, and then there's gonna be a string that you need to tie off on the bottom. Okay, so let's get this fit into place. So we're gonna pass this piece through the seat, through the crack in the seat here. So I'm gonna start pushing that through, and we're gonna pull this lever and lean that seat forward right there. And that'll actually create a little bit more space between the two seats. And again, we're pushing that through here. And we're gonna try to get, as we pull that back, get everything smoothed out here on the front. So it is helpful if you have someone from the back side kind of pulling as you're smoothing everything out on the front here. Nice, so that's looking really good to me on the front side right here. So now we'll show you on the back side. You just pull off that Velcro tab and stick it down. So now you can just pull off that Velcro protector piece down there, and then just give it one last good little pull, and then stick it down to the carpet right there, and that gets that bottom section installed. Last step here is to take this string, and there's two sides of this string that are around the back here, and you're going to take one, tie a loop in one right here. So you're just going to go like this, tie a loop like that right there, and then on the other side you're going to come underneath. You come underneath there, and again, this is after I've pulled it taut, and then I'm going to loop it through like that, and then once I've pulled that taut right there, then I'm going to take this around just like this right here, right there, once, then take that loop right there and just finish it off by taking it around right there. That way you have some knots that are not too bad to untie if you ever need to take the cover off or get a replacement or anything like that, or clean it. And then that'll keep everything nice and tight underneath. So that'll be the very last step that I'll do underneath there, just pulling those two tight. And where I'm pulling those tight, I will show you that because that is kind of important to see, is I'm just reaching underneath, and I'm not going on the behind the back bars, but actually where I'm going is almost directly across where these strings would meet up if I just went straight across right here. Okay, and I'm just connecting them up. And now this seat is designed so it can actually hinge back. So I'm gonna go up above, I don't know if you can see this, but I'm gonna go up above these bars and this hydraulic spring right here. And right there, pretty much as close to the seat as possible. And that should keep me out of harm's way if this seat, when you want to pull that seat and kind of get it to adjust. Or I think these seats actually come out and kind of recline back. And so now that I've gone through one right there, maybe best positioning to actually lay down on the bottom here. And then what I'm doing here is, I'm pulling it tight, and you don't have to crank too hard on this. it's really just to make sure these corners are taut, okay? So I can feel this right here, and that's taut. I mean, it's tight enough really for what I need right there. And then what I'm doing is just pinching that there, and then doing those 2 loop knots that I was showing you earlier. And then with that extra string down here, I always just take it, and you could trim that off with scissors, kind of cut it loose, but in case if you ever need any extra string, always good to have a little extra string around. Just tuck it underneath those springs right there, just to get it off of the floorboard, get it out of the way. And you should be fine doing that. I'll do that same thing over here. Take this extra string, and then again we tied up the string underneath here. Now you may be looking at this, and actually I'm gonna adjust this because this string has been tied off in front of this bar, and if this seat needs to recline back into the back position underneath there, then it's actually going to get caught by this bar right here. So we need to go out and above. So what I was referring to was above that bar. So we had placed this incorrectly initially. And so what we're going to do is loosen this up and then retie it and just put it on the top of that bar. Thanks so much for watching. Again, this has been Neil here with Covers and Camo, your source for custom seat covers. To see more videos like this, check out coversandcamo.com. Thanks.